and NEP is about. Now, coming to the vision and aims of NCF 2023, the primary goal is to transform the Indian education system positively, focusing on changes in curriculum, pedagogy, and school culture. So, we are witnessing a shift from the traditional methods. We are focusing more on holistic development of a learner here through the NCF's latest guidelines. The curriculum, as per NCF and its vision, would embrace this holistic learning experience beyond textbook learning. So it is like it fosters an environment that nurtures students' overall growth. It is all-round development that we aim at here through the National Curriculum Framework 2023. So let's first understand the curricular structure. So we have the aims set, and then the goals and the competencies and learning outcomes, all of these set by the National Curriculum Framework 2023. So the aims here would be the broad educational purposes for each curricular or school stage. So we'll come into school stage, we'll understand what each stages are. So there is this division, age-wise division of grades being, or categorization of grades being done as per NCF. So that is the stages which we look at. So in each of these stages, there are certain purpose, educational purpose being set, and that is the aim. And then there are specific directions given or for the curricular development within these particular aim. So it is for each stage, each school stage, that these particular goals are set, which are like specific directions for curriculum development. And then there are the competencies which would be observable or which can be assessed, or these are observable or measurable achievements that are derived from these goals that are set. So there is the aim, and then the goal set based on the aim, and then the competencies which is again set based on the goals. And then there are the learning outcomes set. So learning outcome as in the milestones, or how much have they learned, what are they going to learn, everything together. It guides the teaching learning process. So these are the different curricular structure that you need to understand as you go through this session. Now, let's understand the stages one by one. So as per NCF 2023, as I told you, that there is this categorization of different grades or age groups. So it begins with the foundational stage, which includes the age groups of ages 3 to 8. Right. So the foundational stage is the first stage, where it is all about play based learning, lots of activities, lots of songs, games, arts, and lots of hands-on experiences are involved. So the goal here would be to build the curiosity, the communication skills, or to develop certain good habits and a love for learning in the smaller grade learners. An example here could be children learning numbers by counting toys or fruits, or understanding emotions through storytelling. So it is an engaging method of learning here, which actually develops love for learning. And then comes the next stage, which is the preparatory stage for ages 8 to 11, right? So here the focus is playful. There are lots of play-based activities, yet a little bit more formal learning begins here. Right. So formal learning, in the sense here, the learning style would be a lot of activity based. Yes, lots of hands-on activities, hands-on experiences, and then more structured subjects. For example, in the foundational stage, we have the EVS curriculum for grades 1 and 2. And when it comes to the preparatory stage, we have social studies for grades 3, 4, and 5. So it is this particular structured subject method which you see here in the preparatory stage. So here the goal will be to develop on their counting or numeracy or literacy or speaking or thinking skills. An example is learning multiplication using games, or solving puzzles to understand different patterns or structures. So this is a part of the preparatory learning stage. And then comes the middle stage for age groups 11 to 14. So the subject based learning starts here. From the middle school onwards, the focus is on subject based learning. So there is lots of interaction based activities. There are lots of group discussions, experiments, projects, etc. being held in this particular stage. So the goal here would be to strengthen the understanding and help them apply it, whatever they have learned, to their real life situations. It's more of application, which you see here in this particular stage. An example could be understanding science through experiments or learning history by creating timelines. So they are being involved through active participation by involving in that learning process, and through a subject-based learning method, students learn in this particular category of the middle stage. And then comes the secondary stage for ages 14 to 18. Here would be the deeper focus coming in, with deeper learning and critical thinking. There is more of analysis, there is more of evaluation, there are more debates, research, or more study of data, and more of career exploration. All of these happens in this particular stage. The goal here would be to help students prepare for their life choices or their higher studies, and to make them responsible citizens, to build in them a certain responsible citizenship. So this would be the larger goal in the secondary stage. For example, writing essays on any of the social issues which we face in the country every day, or analyzing certain historical events to understand its implications in the present day, or exploring their career options by actually taking up some internships. So all of this comes under this particular secondary stage. So these are the different stages as per National Curriculum Framework 2023. So we saw what is NCF, we saw what are the stages or curricular structure. Now let's come at social studies education, right? So what is social sciences all about? What are we teaching? Can one of you actually tell me, from your experience of training for social studies, or from your background of social studies, can you tell me what is it all about? What are we teaching here? It could be your school experience also. What did you learn through social science? Anyone? Okay. So shall I just randomly pick some names and ask? Murali, are you there? No. Arpan? No. Ashish? Okay. Yes, Bharat is saying something. Pre-primary, I have learned about family, friends, public places, etc. All right. So in the primary grades, you learn about everything around you, like your family, or your school, your neighborhood, or your body in EVS, etc. So when it comes to social science, so here I would emphasize on the difference. Social studies is for the primary grades, where it's more of a foundational study, and social science is for the higher grades from 6 to 8 and upper. where it is more of a scientific study of societies and culture. So whatever it is that we learn in our primary grades, we build on our understandings in the higher grades or from grade 6 onwards. So it is more of a scientific study with lots of data or analyzing or evaluation, etc. coming in, right? And I would actually ask all of you, whoever can like listen to and respond, please respond, because I also have like 5 questions towards the end of the session. So if you have to answer the questions, I would really suggest you can listen to what is being discussed and then respond throughout the session, right? Okay. So social studies education is about systematically studying these human societies, cultures, institutions, and interactions. So it can be anything, understanding the society, the societal patterns, the structure, or how are we part of that society, or how are certain patterns formed in society, what are cultures, and how do we have different cultures. So it is this systematic study of the society as such, where the society becomes our laboratory that is being carried out in the social science education. So it includes all disciplines that come under humanities, which explores into culture, history, economics, political science, and more, aiming to help students appreciate the society and culture holistically. So coming to the purpose and approach of the subject, the social science education is something that nurtures a sense of pride in one's culture or country. It actually fosters a spirit, a good spirit, a forward-looking spirit for continuous societal improvement, to be part of the social change, to actively contribute towards and to aim towards higher societal improvement is part of this social science education, right? So we spoke about how education, as in especially with regard to NCF, we aim at holistic and all-round development, right? So when it comes to this particular subject, social studies or social science is that discipline where we build on the overall personality or character development of a learner. So this particular subject also adapts or adopts an interdisciplinary perspective, integrating multiple disciplines for a comprehensive understanding of social processes. So as you know, social sciences is a combination of subjects. There is history, there is geography, there is political science, economics. So it is a coming together of these subjects to understand each and every component of a society in detail, to understand how goods are produced, what is labor, or what are raw materials, or what is our history, what were the different wars we fought, and how did those wars shape us, or how did the British come into rule, or what are the climate or weather of a region, what are the different landforms, what are the different resources. So in order to understand everything around us, we need this particular subject, which is a combination of different disciplines. So we looked at what is social science education, and we looked at the approach of that particular subject, social science, right? Now let's understand the different stages in social science. So we looked at the different stages as per NCF 2023. Now let's understand, as per NCF 2023, what are the different curriculum stages and how is social science being placed there. Okay, so first we have the preparatory stage here. Foundational stage would include EVS and not social studies as such. It's mostly EVS in the foundational stage, which is a combination of social and science. So when it comes to the preparatory stage, the focus is on the local environment, like understanding the world around us, about everything around us, about India, or what are the heritage of India, heritage monuments of India, or different landforms, or different natural resources. So there is this greater emphasis on everything around us and learning about it at the preparatory stage in social studies, actually. And then When it comes to the middle stage, social science becomes more of a distinct subject with integrated themes from history, geography, political science, and economics, and then it is differentiated as local, regional, national, or global. So I would like you to make this point that this is as per latest NCF guidelines, that this demarcation is done for chapters. So we have also actually tried to bring that change in our latest Spark Social Science Grade 6 textbook, where we have tried to bring in this particular demarcation of local, regional, or national and global elements into the textbook. So this is another thing in that happens in the middle stage or in the middle schooling stage, where we study social science as a distinct subject with all of these history, geography, political science coming together, and also differentiating it as local, regional, global, or national. And then comes the secondary stage. The secondary stage, as in the higher grades, where it becomes separate subjects. So in grade 9 and 10, it becomes separate subjects. So we will have one separate textbook for geography or one separate textbook for history. And however, in the middle stages, it is one book with all these subjects together, right? In grades 9 and 10, we see different textbooks itself for these particular, each of these subjects. And then as it comes to grades 11 and 12, it becomes much more deeper, and then it evolves into a discipline on its own. So there is sociology, there is philosophy, there is anthropology. So as it comes to the higher grade, it becomes even more detailed or much more depth oriented disciplines as such. So this is how social science is categorized within these preparatory or middle or secondary stages. Now coming to the goals and competencies in social science. So we'll look at competencies, we'll understand competencies, but before that, when it comes to social science, the goal would be to develop a awareness of the societal continuity or change, or understanding unity in diversity, or understanding social institutions and its transformations, right? Understanding the societal structure as such, understanding social change or political change or cultural changes, right? And then building certain inquiry skills, where children or learners also find different sources for that particular learning of that particular topic. They do sourcing, they verify the evidences that they have collected, and they critically think into it, and they form coherent or more comprehensive narratives based on these evidences and a cross verification of these evidences. And they develop a capacity to address contemporary social concerns both logically and meaningfully. So it's at the end of the day, the whole purpose comes to building a certain capacity to understand the societal changes, to understand the society, to understand people, or to understand the changes that happen within the society and why these changes are brought about, and understanding the different social institutions and how these institutions work within our society as of now, or in this particular day and age, right? So to logically and to meaningfully put everything together that they see around them would be the ultimate goal here. Is it clear so far? Yes? No? Are you able to follow what was discussed so far? Yes or no? A thumbs up would also do. Any questions? Yes. Okay. Any questions? No questions? No? Okay. No questions. Okay. So now we'll come to competencies, or what is competency based learning. So what is a competency? A competency can be any. Yes, understood. Yes, okay. Yes, did someone raise their hand? No? Okay. All right. So what is, or what are competencies? So consider this 21st century, right? Uh, there are quite a lot of changes happening in this 21st century day and age, especially with regard to education. Education is all technology oriented. Both for the teacher and for the student, it is important to adapt into this change of technology oriented learning, right? Use of smart boards, or use of augmented realities, right? So we have stepped into pretty much a technology oriented learning system instead of a traditional system in this 21st century age. So adapting into that age, that particular flexibility as a 21st century skill would also count as a competency. So what are competencies? It is anything, any knowledge, any skill, any ability, any behavior that an individual would need to perform a job effectively. So to teach, or to teach through digital means, by making use of the smartboard, by making use of the LMS, I would have to exhibit certain skills, certain knowledge, certain ability, and that would add to my competency. So the same is being implemented in the school curriculum through NCF 2023, and there is a larger emphasis on competencies, especially when it comes to social studies or social science. So we understood what are competencies, right? So now let us understand what is competency based learning, or CBL. So competency based learning is a learning system where students progress by demonstrating mastery of clearly defined competencies and not by time spent. So earlier it was just about maybe reading from the textbook, covering the syllabus within the time, and making students mug up whatever was taught, and then scoring good marks, right? So the focus is now shifting from that particular practice to a more of clear cut goal oriented or competency oriented. So by the end of the year, the teacher would know how many of these competencies have the learners achieved, right? So there is clear cut definition, or there is clear cut categorization of these different competencies, and the teachers will be able to place the different kinds of learners within these competencies by the end of the year. So this is a particular learning system where students progress is assessed by clearly assessing if they have mastered that particular competency which we are trying to build in them, right? So that is competency based learning. So here the emphasis would be on more of personalized learning, or real life applications, or problem solving, or collaborative learning where children work in teams and learn as groups. So the emphasis, the larger emphasis is on a move from the rote memorization method or rote learning technique where it's all about mugging up, but rather conceptual learning. And these competencies set the goals of what is to be achieved from each kind of learner. Okay, so we now know what are competencies. We saw how or what is this competency based learning. So let's view or understand or perceive the CBL, or competency based learning, in social science through NCF 2023. So as per NCF 2023, the vision for social science through CBL would be on learning how to learn. So what is learning how to learn? How will you explain learning how to learn? Anyone? Anyone?
Somewhat a learning centric approach.
Okay. A learner centric approach, right? A student centric approach. Yes. Anyone else?
Hello, ma'am. This is Rekha Gupta from Delhi team.
Yes, Rika, please tell me.
Yes, ma'am. Your question is what is the difference between what to learn or how to learn?
The question is, how will you define learning how to learn?
Okay, how will you define learning how to learn? Acha, I thought you were asking what is the difference between what to learn or how should we choose how to learn?
Okay, that comes under the larger picture. Yes.
Okay. Okay, ma'am. How to learn? I can just differentiate in that way. Suppose if you are teaching, I'm just give you one example. If we want to teach a child, okay, just learn the table, right, ma'am? So two
Yeah.
one ja two is two, two twos are four, right? But
Mm.
how did we reach two twos are four? That is we have to teach the children. Okay, how did we reach there? That says how to learn.
Yes, yes, exactly. That's actually a very good example. Right. So developing the skills. Yes, I think there are a few other responses in the chat. Learning about process of understanding, acquiring process or techniques to learn. Okay, all right. So it's about developing the skills, the mindsets, and habits that they need to become an independent or lifelong learner. So it is to cultivate that certain habit in them to constantly keep learning, right? So the focus will not be simply on learning what is given, but rather to build a capacity to continue that process of learning as a lifetime process, right? So this is what is being emphasized as a vision for social science through CBL, that is learning how to learn. So it is a shift of focus, as I have already mentioned, from rote memorization into more of specific goal oriented learning, specific concept oriented learning. So CBL, or competency based learning, nurtures critical citizens with these skills in collaboration, critical thinking, digital literacy, and also ethics. So it is, as I told you, an all-round development of a learner, which we are talking about here, where we develop a certain critical thinking capacity and independent thinking capacity, a space where they can scrutinize the information, especially in this day and age where a lot of information reaches our learners. So they should be able to filter in the information that they receive, or where a lot of environmental changes are happening. They should be able to, as a citizen, contribute positively towards those environmental change, towards sustainable development. Or they should develop a certain ethic, right? As a citizen of this country, a certain ethic they should follow. So it is an all-round development or personality or character development which is being emphasized here, which is being nurtured in our learners. So this actually aligns a lot with the goals of social science learning. So the goals of social science learning across grades, as in from grade 6 to 8 or 9 to 10 and also 11 to 12. So let's look at this in detail and understand across grades how is it aligning with the vision of NCF. So for 6 to 8, the idea or the learning method revolves a lot around the local experiential learning, or learning from their immediate surroundings. The focus would be on their local context. Here, the students learn through hands-on experiences, through observations, through examples from their daily life. When it comes to 9 and 10, there is a broader emphasis on national and global perspectives. The curriculum actually shifts to include the national issues or key national concerns or some global issues which we face in our country or around the world. Now, in this particular stage, students are introduced to a more complex method of learning. So they develop their understanding of a democracy or economic development. They expand on their knowledge of globalization or world history. And then when it comes to grades 11 and 12, there is in-depth analytical study. So as we have already discussed, social science becomes itself into independent disciplines, right? When it comes to grades 11 and 12 and higher. So the emphasis here would be on in-depth exploration of specific themes in history or political science or sociology or economics or anthropology. And students are here expected to use a certain capacity to critically think, evaluate, and analytically understand the certain concepts or key values and evaluate and come up with certain inferences. So this is the vision of NCF 2023 for social science through competency-based learning system. Now let's understand the competencies. Okay, so these, in a larger view, these are the different competencies. So there is explaining historical events and processes using various sources, including Indian and world history. So it's like examination into the historical events by collecting certain sources, reading through the sources, understanding by researching, and then making inferences from whatever they have understood, right? And then explaining certain historical events would be one type of competency. Another type of competency would be tracing continuity or change in different phases of the world history. So understanding continuity and change. It can be in terms of cultural or social or political. So what is social change? What is cultural change? Or what is political change, right? So they're studying change as such or continuity as such in this particular competency. And then there is explaining the growth of new ideas and practices and their impact on world history. So the growth of new ideas and its impact. So one example is the growth, the study of the growth of Buddhism and how it has influenced global ideas or people around the world would be one one example for the type of competency. And then there is